morning, Wallen Gateway kids and Roxy kids. Your term is nearly over. Quite a while ago now, we started these videos for you on a Sunday morning, and you have one more week before you go on holiday. So I thought I'll just recap a little bit of what we have heard. We started off with the story of Jesus riding on a donkey into Jerusalem to have the Passover meal with his disciples. And that's where it started. Shortly after that, Jesus was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane. He was then trialed. During the trial, Peter denied him, and then he was crucified. At that moment, the curtain in the temple tore into two, and there was darkness everywhere. When Jesus died, it seemed like all the dreams of the disciples were shattered. They placed him in a tomb and were really sad and very scared at that moment. But then 3 days later on, the women found the tomb empty and Jesus had risen. Jesus appeared to many people after that. And initially, the disciples were really scared. But the more they got to realize and understand the story that Jesus has now risen, the more confidence they gained. And then at Pentecost, the Holy Spirit came to them, and they were filled with the Holy Spirit and had a completely new confidence to preach the gospel. Peter and John, two of Jesus' disciples, they were preaching. They healed people. They were even thrown into prison, but then rescued again. During that time, there was another man, a very well-educated man. His name was Paul, and he really didn't like that. So he persecuted the Christians. But Jesus had other plans for him, and we've heard it in the last few Sundays. Paul became a believer when he met Jesus in the light. And after that, Paul had many adventures. He was thrown into prison. He was shipwrecked. He was bitten by a snake, we heard last time. But it didn't stop him from preaching the gospel, and it didn't stop him from writing many letters. And some of them have been collected in the Bible today. And our passage of the Bible comes from a letter that Paul has written to the Galatians. That's a church in Galatia. So we're going to hear what he has written to the Galatians, because we can still read it today in the Bible.
What kind of tree is that? Wait, I know. It's an apple tree.
How can you tell?
Because it's got apples on it. Apples are my favorite fruit. No, oranges. Wait, bananas. Bananas are definitely my favorite.
My favorite fruit is love.
Love? Love isn't a fruit.
Sure it is. Love is a fruit of the Spirit.
Fruit of the what?
The fruit of the Spirit. In the book of Galatians, Paul writes about love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. When we walk with the Holy Spirit, that's the fruit we can expect to see in our lives.
I'm not a tree. I don't have fruit.
The fruit of the Spirit doesn't grow on trees. It grows in us, because of what we are. An apple tree naturally makes apples, an orange tree naturally makes oranges, and a banana tree makes...
Bananas!
Right. And all who follow Jesus have God's Holy Spirit living inside them. So when they choose to let God's Holy Spirit guide them, what naturally comes out is...
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control.
Right. All the fruit of the Spirit. And just like you can tell an apple tree by its apples, the fruit of God's Holy Spirit lets others know that we belong to God. But without the power of God's Holy Spirit, Paul says a different fruit grows in us, the fruit of our sinful nature.
That does not sound good.
It isn't. That fruit is selfishness, pride, anger, envy, disobedience, greed, fighting, and anything that keeps us from getting along with each other and loving others the way God does. That fruit always makes us want more stuff because we think stuff can make us happier than God can. That fruit leaves us empty instead of full.
Ew, I don't want that fruit. I want love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. But I get angry sometimes, and I'm not very patient. Guess I'll just have to try harder.
Paul tells us trying harder won't get us anywhere. That's because our own strength only lasts a little while. But those who follow Jesus have declared that their sinful nature is dead. Now we can choose to live by the power of God's Holy Spirit instead. We can spend time with Him and pray and get to know Him, for real. And as we get to know God's Holy Spirit more,
I know. The power of God's Holy Spirit will make more of the fruit of the Spirit grow in us. Like bananas!
like bananas.
This week, our memory verse is from Galatians 5, verse 22, which says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law." This memory verse is telling us that when the Holy Spirit is in our lives, He helps us to show love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. For example, it is sometimes really hard to show someone love when they have hurt us, but the Holy Spirit helps us to do exactly that. And now we will hear a song that will help us to remember and understand the fruit of the Spirit a bit more.
Well, Roxy Kids Club and Wallen Gateway Kids and Tots. Today we are focusing on the fruits of the Spirit. So I have some fruit. So the fruits of the Spirit in the Bible from Galatians, for me, I really get a lot out of it. I use it as a daily check where I get to, okay, how should I be? Carry some peace, love, joy, self-regulate, self-control, faithfulness, gratefulness, all the fruits of the Spirit. So I really like to carry that with me each day whenever I come across people, or if I'm having a bit of a rough time, I'm like, okay, focus on God and what fruits of the Spirit do I need to focus on today. But today's activity is about joy. Joy is one of the fruits of the Spirit and it's one of my favorites. So we're going to create a joyful fruit platter with a smiley face using fruit. Now, I don't know if you know, but there's an Italian artist called Giuseppe Arcimboldo, and he creates portraits using fruit. So look him up. Okay, so let's get started. First, wash your hands. I cut up my fruit beforehand, which makes it a lot easier. You can choose any type of fruit you want. I've just got some basic fruit here that you can buy from the supermarket. So let's get started. Okay, here is my joyful face. I would love to see your creations. And remember, keep the fruits of the Spirit close to your heart. Bye.
I'm really looking forward to seeing some great fruit of the Spirit fruit platters. And you get to see your bundles of wood with the snakes right now. For you to go, and then you have a bit of a rest of the school holidays. I wish you all the very best for that last week. I want you to know that we as the children's ministry team, that we are praying for you, that we often think of you, and that we want to really bless you this week. So all the best till next time. Bye.